What exactly is focal length? Hi everyone, in this video we'll be taking a look at what exactly is focal length, what it is, how it can be used, and how it can help you address or choose which lens is right for you. But first, let's see what actually focal length is. Now, the definition of focal length is the optical distance from the lens or convex mirror to the focal plane. Oof, what is that? Well, simply put, it's the distance from the lens to the sensor or film. Put even more simply, how close is the lens to what I am actually shooting? The lower the number, the wider the shot, and the higher the number, the more zoomed in we actually are. Different focal lengths means several different types of lenses, and each type is going to have its different uses based on its optical properties. Now let's go through each lens type first, and then we'll talk about how their optical properties work out. Ultra-wide angle lenses, also known as fisheye lenses, have focal lengths up to 16 mil, and they get the widest shot, but they also tend to distort the space significantly. They're called fisheye lenses because it's a similar field of view to how a fish sees the world, and they're super handy for shooting tight interiors, wide landscapes, stylized shots, or even shots with different action sports or follow cams. Wide angle lenses have a focal length range of 16 to 24 millimeters, so their field of view is going to be slightly narrower, but they're still noticeably wide. They don't distort the space as much as the fisheye lens, but they're still super useful for shooting landscapes, interiors, large groups of people, etc. Basic lenses have a focal length range of 24 to 50 millimeters. Prime lenses, which are lenses with a fixed focal length, are the most commonly used lenses. While they have a relatively wide angle of view, they don't distort the space as much. You can comfortably shoot landscapes in addition to some wider portraits from 35mm. You can even shoot an entire wedding using 35mm. 50mm is probably the most widely used and affordable lens out there. Medium telephoto lenses have a focal length range of 50 to 105 millimeters, and they get relatively narrow with greater zoom. They're great for portraits, product photography, reporter shots, and you can even get some macro shots with them. Telephoto lenses have a focal range length between 105 to 300 millimeters. These are lenses where zoom comes in handy for shooting distant scenes. So typically they are used for sports or wildlife photography. Now, super telephoto lenses with focal lengths of 300 and more are going to be useful for shooting very distant scenes like wildlife or sports photography. They come with an even higher price tag though. But if your subject is far away, or you want to be as far away from your subject as possible, if it's a raging beast in nature, then it's going to be the right choice for you. Now, zoom lenses are in a world of their own, and thanks to the variability of their focal length, they cover several different categories. Now, if you want one lens that's going to cover multiple different focal lengths, then a zoom lens is definitely the way to go for you. Zoom lenses usually have a zoom number that tells us just how much we can zoom from the widest to the narrowest shot. And put simply, if we have a 25 to 250 millimeter lens, then it's 10 times zoom. So that was a breakdown of what each lens is good for. Now let's talk about their optical properties. Now, like I said before, focal length is gonna affect our image distortion. And it's not only in front of the subject, but especially behind it. And we can see this the most when it comes to portraits. For example, if I take a portrait at 24 millimeters and then the same portrait at 85 millimeters, I notice that the face on the wide angle lens looks bloated, distorted, and not flattering at all compared to the portrait lens. And that's why they recommend taking portraits at focal lengths between 85 and 135 millimeters, where the degree of distortion is going to be minimal. Now, we already have a video about portrait photography, and you'll find the link here, but also in the video description. There are two other factors related to focal length: depth of field and perspective distortion behind the subject. The greater the focal length, the smaller the depth of field. And here are two photos, one taken at 50 millimeters and the other at 105 millimeters. Both have the exact same f-stop number, which is f4, and this is one of the key settings for depth of field. Now, to make the test comparable, the photo was taken at the same distance, since distance from the subject is also very important for depth of field. Now you may notice that the background is significantly more blurred in the photo with the higher focal length. That's why you don't have to worry about the background not being blurred when you set a higher f-stop at longer focal lengths. A similar rule applies for perspective distortion. The longer the focal length, the more the space behind the subject is stretched. We can see this in this series of portraits taken at different focal lengths. Now, different focal lengths help us include more or less of the background in the shot that we're going for. So that's it for focal lengths. Hope you guys liked the video. Let us know what you think below and what subjects you guys are interested in. Give us a thumbs up, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video. Till then, relax, have a good one.